I am Adeyinka, I'm the CEO of MABY Consultancy. For you guys to be here, then you must have heard about us, in some shape or form. So thank you for being here. Today, the topic was supposed to address some of the concerns we have had about people having certification and then still struggling to land that role within the market, but still struggling to land the role. So we are trying to then dive in to differentiate between what really gets you hired. Is it having a certificate or really having a hands-on experience, to an extent? And my understanding is that, certificates are important. They are to benchmark our industry across the world, be it Prince 2, be it CAPM, whether it's for waterfall or agile, it doesn't matter. Go for the certificate if you want. But think about it. Certificate would only get you to an interview stage. When you get to that interview room, it is your understanding of the real world application that would actually help you thrive in an interview. What do I mean by that? You could you could think about when we do mathematics in school, really. We've covered a lot of subject, algebra, talking about the triangles and all of those things. Now, when you come to real life application, which of those concepts have we really applied? The answer is probably maybe 5 things, like dates, subtractions, additions, so those minor, elementary mathematics. That's all we've been using. That's really how certification is, even within the project world. You can be certified all you like, but without that real life application, that hands-on technical expertise, you really can't go far with just certification. So I do advise people that if you have a single investment fund, please, before you invest in any certificate, please make sure that you have really applied that route and you are sure that it is what you want to be known for. Certification is just adding an icing on the cake. If you're fresh into the market, fresh into the field, you really don't have the cake yet. So please don't go looking for the trophy when you don't actually have the basis. Okay? So if you have a single investment, I will say go for a technical investment in your skill set rather than chasing certificate. We are, especially from different other part of the world, we place a lot of value on certificate. In the part of the world where I live in the UK, just to clarify, certification means little. It will get you so far into the room. But when you get into the room, we want you to talk to us about the challenges you faced, about how you have actually maneuvered your way into different technical situations. Really, that is what will sort of give you that edge. That would let you have an industry standard sort of conversation. If you invest in certification course like a Prince 2, for example, when we come to the nitty gritty of it, nobody really practices Prince 2 in its entirety in the real life, really. I am yet to find any organization that says, okay, we practice Prince 2 from top to bottom, or we practice PMP from top to bottom. It's always a mix of this and that. Even they try different things. I mean, big organizations, they try different things and then pick up which part of what works for their method. So building an end-to-end of a process within an organization, it goes beyond, oh, I am compliant with this certification standard or that other one. It doesn't matter which one. The fact is, understand the nitty-gritty of your role. Understand why you have been hired. Now, look at your certification, look at your benchmark as your tool. It wouldn't matter what tool, like if you are a chef, for example, and you have been provided with a kitchen, it wouldn't matter what tool you are used to. The fact is, there are certain standards. You know that to cook anything, you need a pot. You need a spatula, for example. Those things are just standards. Your approach to Making stuff is what your interviewer wants to see, and that is where your application really comes in. Okay, so I hope I've kind of clarified, what certification is and what, application is. So certification is your way of benchmarking against the rest of the world, and your application is your own immersion into your actual role, the role you have been hired for, your technical approach to delivering this role. That is what application is. So there are two different things. So if you ask me what my 2 cents on this is, I would say go for application. And then when you start making money, invest in as many certifications as you wish. But of course, if you have unlimited fund and fund is not, a real issue, of course you can go for it. You can have the two. Why not? If you can afford it, have the two. But if you can prioritize, if you have to prioritize, please prioritize chasing application, technical application over certification. Okay? Now, going to the second part, which is what does application mean in real life? It doesn't mean you reading it in a book. It actually means doing it, hands-on, active doing. You read it in a book, and then you go further to actually doing it. Your lessons would come in your mistakes as many times as many times as possible. You have to learn from your mistakes, your reasoning. I mean, especially the highest part of technical world. Your real expertise is in your reasoning, the way you analyze things, the way you sense risk, the way you maneuver when things aren't quite going right, the way you make decisions. Your decision making process is what really the information system world is. Now, when we now talk about application in the technical world, I mean the core IT world, well, it means you repeating that framework over and over and over again. You looking at an error message and knowing straight away what it is. You wouldn't be able to do that if you have not actually been in that situation. Now, people that have been working in core tech, I mean the developers, the back-end, front-end developers, I'm not talking about, website developers, I'm talking about real solution developers. They are people that have seen as many issues as possible and have found their way out of it. So what we call experience in IT world is how many problems really have you made your way out of? How many technical issues have you confidently maneuvered your way out of? Because that is where the lessons are. That is where, if those things reoccur again in future, you will be able to respond in a more apt way, in a more quicker. You can sense them quickly, and then you can then make your way out of them quickly, so other people can rely on you for more things. So the more of those you have, the more you are actually extending your reach. I mean, in terms of technical work. But in terms of IS, I mean, the support roles, the project managers, the scrum masters, the business analysts, all of those roles are all within IS. And the icing on the cake, the core of your job is in your reasoning, your thought process. That is really what your job is. And then, of course, by definition of your role, well, we want to then specialize that into, okay, I'm an expert in business analysis. That's it. Well, you can understand technical lingua and you can also balance it with business lingua, because for some reason, those two do not really mix so much. They don't understand each other so much. Business-minded people do not really understand technical terminologies. And technical people do not have the patience nor the time to really start explaining things to business people in a way that they will understand. Hence why you need the business analyst to bridge that gap. And how do they bridge the gap? Well, they map out different processes. They go through different stakeholders. They go through different conversations, and it requires a certain sort of skill set to be able to then interpret what the business is saying to what the IT, to what the technical people would understand, and then vice versa. That is what the BA do. So you can really understand what I mean when I say that it is more the reasoning behind what you're doing. Why do you need to do certain thing first before moving on to the other? You know, that's that. And then the next role that I want to deep dive into really it's project management. What does application mean in project management? Well, let me say this. You, as the project manager, you really do not have a team of people directly reporting to you, right? You are a one man army, really, until you have been given this temporary team to help you move things over the line. That means, if you think about it very well, these people do not really owe you anything. They don't owe you their loyalty. They don't owe you anything, really. Okay? So, how do you get people that do not owe you anything to really work with you and bring a project to fruition? Like, how do you get them to work with you to get things over the line? It's tricky. Well, that is where your engagement skill, leadership skill, that is where it comes in. Okay? You being able to kind of lead without being bossy, if that makes sense. That is where it comes in. Because you have to give these people a reason to prioritize your project over every other project. There may not be a dedicated resource to your project, for example. There may be shared resource. Like, for example, your BA may be a BA that's working within 2, 3, 5 different other projects. So how do you get this person to always remember yours as priority? Because obviously your project is priority to you, but it is not to other people. All right? It is not priority to other people. So you have to continue to do all you can to get people to work with you, trust you, trusting your leadership, be open, being inclusive, being process driven. Don't be like, you can't be a clumsy project manager and expect people to trust your process. Okay, so that process of being a people person, you don't have to be a people pleaser because you don't have to always say no. You have to be firm and be clear on your decision. But on the other side of it, you still need them to do the work, because without them, really, your project is going nowhere. You can't do it. You don't know the project. You just understand the flow of the project. You are relying on them for their knowledge, but you are their lead. So it's a difficult place to be in. But with a lot of skill acquisition, well, it happens. That is why we have different frameworks here and there for people to follow to then help them land closer to the goal, if not on the goal. Okay? So, how can someone then apply what they've learned in an application or skill acquisition course, for example? How can they apply it to real life? My answer to that will always be, first, if you are a person that cannot follow things through, please do not waste your money investing in any course, because IT would not give you that. It won't give you your flowers on the first day after you complete your course, because completing the course does not mean you have now become a pro. You are now the big thing on the market that every employer is looking for. No, after your course, it's time to then go grind. It's time to then pick up that skill that you have acquired and start working. You have to be happy to be a one-man team for a while you build up your skill set. If you are not prepared to do that, then the question is, how do you want to make yourself marketable? How do you want to do that? If you've gone on a course for project management, for example, make sure you are leaving that course with a real roadmap, with a real framework that will allow you to repeat the process over and over again on your own, so that you get to the point where you look at a project, even a fully done one, and you can reverse engineer it. You start looking at day-to-day activities and picking out the projects in them. You start looking at making certain decisions on your own, like looking at risk analysis, looking at gap analysis. You can do all of those things on the things we do on day-to-day basis, but obviously in a structured way. Once you put structure in place, then you repeating that process over and over, well, that is where you begin to have your gains. I hope that makes sense. Now, so the big one, which is bridging the gap. You have this certification, but you don't have the application or the skill necessary coming out of whatever course it is that gave you this certification. Well, my answer to you would be, please go back to your lesson notes and start from the beginning to practice what you have been taught in that course. Because the certificate would not earn you anything in the real market. If you don't have the necessary interpretation of what the role is, I mean, in real life, what are you required to do? As a solution architect, what are you required to do? I've seen a lot of advertisement out there, people advertising for solution architect role, be a solution architect in one day. How? Like really, how? It is practically impossible. Solution architecture is not a drawing, it's not a technical drawing thing. It is one of the riskiest roles out there because the entire technical infrastructure of this organization is riding on your expertise. So if you get it wrong, what do you think is going to happen? You know, it's one of the most delicate zone. You build your experience up to it. You need to understand the architecture, the landscape of the IT world to an extent. Then you then go from point to point, chunking out different areas to build that expertise up until that level. It is not a thing to be read in a course. From where I stand, I may be wrong, open to that conversation in the comment section, please. From where I stand, please bite little at a time. Get grounded in that skill, then opt for more. You need to like thread in a way that you can stand on whatever stage you are in. Please be able to stand on your 2 feet. Be it you are starting all the way from project administrator, at least be able to stand on both feet in that role first. Then you move on to project support. Then you move on to project analyst, then to the PMOs, then to the lead, then to the leadership zone. Then I have a structure. It's okay to be new. Do not jump the gun. Don't pick up roles that would expose you to different risks that you won't be able to then maneuver your way out of. It's a tricky zone to say you want to do solution architecture training and then boom. My brother and sisters, you won't find a job after that because you need to be able to articulate. You need to be able to demonstrate portfolio of what it is you have achieved before anybody can literally hand you over the future of their organization to move it forward. You are a solution architect. Architecture means based on what you have drawn here, based on the landscape of this organization, we can plug in this tool, that tool, this solution, that solution, this technology, that technology, and the whole of architecture would not come down crashing. So if you don't understand what the true landscape of the technical industry is, how do you want to deliver really on that role with just an experience from a training course? Start from somewhere. There are easier way into tech. There are easier way in. Be it coming in from IT or IS or the support roles, there are easier way in. Don't go for the money. I know the advertisement is always about money, but please chase your skill first. Chase your skill acquisition first. Then money will surely come. So you need to start from somewhere. And then money would follow. But there is money in tech. There is lots of it. And there will continue to be because there are new generation roles, new generations, what is it called? Tools, different things, different reasons to continue to employ into different many roles within tech. There are roles that are not available years ago, and they are now. So tech is going nowhere. Take your time to really learn. It's okay to be new. Take your time to be in that learning zone. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is fishing. What's the difference between? I have a few questions that have been submitted to me, so I'm going through them. What's the difference between finishing a course and then getting ready for the role? Well, I've covered that a little bit. You finishing a course, it is when you do your own personal graduation. When you leave that course, your mission should be to go and start trying out exactly what you have learned in that course. It's not the time to close it off. I've said it time and time over that in tech is more of a science than an art. The secret to you thriving within the industry is in you being able to repeat the same task over and over and over again. When you become savvy in that repetition, then you start adding different challenges to it. That is really where you begin to strengthen your core as whatever role you have been trained for. If you've been trained as a business analyst, for example, please start from analyzing the situation in your own, in your current role, in your current organization, within other people's businesses. Do it as a one-man team. You have to be comfortable doing your role with different other imaginations out there. You have to be comfortable. Outside of working for different other people, I have deployed different projects from here, different programs from here, different portfolios from here. One-man team. And no, it won't be me doing those things by myself on hand. It will be me leading different teams of people I have never seen. You don't need we don't all have to be in the same room. It's virtual now. Even prior to now, it is virtual. You have to be comfortable delivering that role as a one-man team. Then with your head up, I head into the market to then acquire this role on a paid basis. But until then, from finishing the course to securing the role, your job is to really continue to practice that role, that skill you just acquired. If you don't practice it, well, you give yourself away. They will know. I will know. If those people that are interviewing you are senior enough, they will know within the first 10 minutes of you stepping into the interview room that you are just, you are just making things up. Me coming to live today is my first time coming live today. And that is why I didn't know that you have to be on live for a certain amount of time before you can add someone in. That comes from experience. Well, because I've never been here to do that, obviously that has given me away today. It is just that simple. If I am a seasoned person that comes on live so often, well, before that, I would have seen that risk. I would have known. It is just the same for everything else. If you are new, acknowledge that you are new, then give yourself a fighting chance. Do your lessons in your own closet. So give yourself a fighting chance. Make those mistakes indoors on your own as a team of one. There is no shortcut to being good. You can't dream your way to becoming so good at anything. You have to do the work. You being marketable is buried in you being able to do the work. Nobody's going to hand you the money if you're not ready, if you're not able to deliver on the job, okay? And when they say they need 5 years experience, well, they didn't say that 5 years of experience needs to be in a FTSE 500 company. If you have compressed that experience within the colony of your home, and you have been grinding to become marketable, then when you get there, you will be marketable. You can't jump the gun. It is okay to be new. Acknowledge that and continue to bridge the gap.